Brazil is so far away, and it's difficult for us to put our arms around what's going on there, the people there. But what impressed all of us was the welcome we were given. These people live very different lives than we do. They may be in very different situations than we are, but the welcome and their desire to be part of a larger church and to communicate with other people. This is a new church. It's a very minority church. And so to know that they have identification with others is really very important. They really welcomed us, latched on to us, and in an embarrassing way went so far out of their way to be good hosts to us. The area of Brazil is the same size as the United States minus Alaska, so it's a tremendously large area. Brasilia is several hours by air from the two major cities, Rio and Sao Paulo. Surrounding the city of Brasilia are what they call satellite cities. We'd call them suburbs. The government buildings and bureaucracy are in Brasilia itself, but most of the people who work in Brasilia can't afford to live in Brasilia itself, so they live in various satellite cities where the Episcopal Church has chapels. The surrounding area that the diocese includes are several very large states. We went to the capital city of one of the states. The capital city was called Palmas of Tocantins state, and that was an hour-and-a-half flight by plane. So it gives you an idea of the distances. The federal district has now 2.5 million people living in it. The city of Palmas we went to has about 250,000. It's a city that's a little bit more than 20 years old. Most Brazilians are either unemployed or underemployed. So when you go out on the streets in Brazil, you constantly see activity, people loitering, hanging around, that you don't usually see in the United States. These are people that are looking for pickup work or don't have work. So the streets are always bustling, full of people. On the other hand, of course, there's a professional class, and then, of course, in Brasilia, the city itself, loads of bureaucrats, people with government employees, middle class and upper middle class.
I really want our diocesan family to know is that our relationship with Brasilia is a really good thing. This is an exciting diocese to be connected to. One thing that became clear early in the trip was that we just have so much in common. The service is completely in Portuguese, and I know no Portuguese, but you still know exactly where you are because we share the same liturgy, we share the same prayers. Even in different languages, enough of the words come through that you can figure out what is being said. They have a number of churches around Brasilia itself, and then a number of congregations scattered in many different places. And so like our diocese, they have to find ways to maintain connection over long distance. Many of the congregations are very, very small. With the exception of the cathedral, most of the congregations worship with 50 to 60 people or fewer each week. And yet all of these congregations, like our congregations, do exciting, wonderful ministry in their communities and have an important presence and carry that out very, very faithfully.
The signs of hope I saw in Brasilia were in the enthusiasm. They're growing. The signs of hope also include the youth. They're an excellent example of how we in the U.S. could mimic that and develop our own emergent church. They have no preconceived notions of what church service should be. When we would go to the different services, almost all of them were different. While they had the same theme, the same readings, every single one of them was a little different. And they adapted to their unique environment.
It's a church that values formation and outreach. And in each community we visited, it was clear that people were being formed very deeply in the faith.
The people of Brasilia can teach us many things. They're not rich. They don't have money to give out. They are frugal. They can multi-purpose just about any building you will find.
I think we can learn a lot from the Diocese of Brasilia about small church vitality, about young adult ministry, about partnering with government organizations to collaborate in creating good in communities, about lay and clergy formation. There are many things we can learn from our partners, and I'd like to see us be intentional about that. One of the things that impressed us so much was the outreach ministries the congregations carry on. One very interesting one that we've heard about a lot in Diocese of Indianapolis is the SAME program. SAME is an after-school program that provides education, a meal, and some child care for students during half of the day. SAME is sponsored by congregations. The students meet in the church. It gives the church a way to connect with the families and also provides a really important service.
Most touched my heart was the dedication and the blessing of the HIV/AIDS house in the city of Palmas. There, the government gives the medicines at hospitals for people from this very large state of Tocantins who come into the capital city. But those who take the medicines are, in a way, just inhabilitated, sort of zonked out for several days. They need a place to stay. So this HIV/AIDS house, in a way, was a hostel where people coming in from the countryside, and this might have been 3 or 4 days travel to get their medicines, are able to rest, stay, and refortify themselves until they can go back home.
There are three things that I hope congregations in our diocese will do in this relationship we have with both Brasilia and Bor. The first is pray. When we were there, it was thrilling to hear the congregations in Brazil pray for the Diocese of Indianapolis in their prayers. I also hope that people will take the opportunity to learn and try to discover things about both of these dioceses. Just be aware of what is happening to our brothers and sisters in these different parts of the world so that we know how to pray for them. So pray, learn, and then there are opportunities to give, and to give in ways that are very meaningful and that make a difference. There are numerous ministries in both of these dioceses, Bor and Brasilia, and where our financial gifts do make a difference.
I think it's so important to have groups going to visit Brazil, because actually being there is the one way to see the enthusiasm in the worship services and their dedication to trying to help out their fellow citizens, and to feel and experience their love and compassion towards us.
My prayer life has changed. It seems that most evenings now, I just want to sit and meditate. I don't think I took time to do that before, and I'm realizing how important that is to me.
I got very emotional when it was time to leave. I had come to love these people very dearly, and how privileged I felt to now have friends in Brazil who pray for me by name and whom I can pray for by name, and to experience that connection in the body was a rich thing.
As the Brazilians might say, que Deus nos bendice, that God may bless us and that we may find favor in His sight. Amen.